This looks really important. In light of what happened this week up in the Sikh temple in Wisconsin, in light of last month's dark night in Colorado, in light of our own energies in this world right now, I was thinking today of the class about serpents. On the way over here, they've been given a bad rap for a long time. I was in Target and Kroger looking for toy serpents and toy snakes. There aren't any. Isn't that funny? I think it's despicable. You know why? Because of misogynist, bigoted men who ruined your power. You women out there. The serpent was a symbol of female power. And by negating the serpent, it took away your power. It all started with the Christians, mostly, in the 4th century. Serpents have had a bad name, and yet, among those, the wisdom keepers of the past, serpents were the places of power. A serpent is a symbol of the Kundalini, the rising energies of your lower chakras, becoming who you fully are, Shakti and Shiva. We see all the cultures of the world, the ancient ones of the world, revering the power of the serpent. And yet, the male misogynist pigs who helped start Christianity negated the power of female by giving the serpent a bad name, and thereby also negating your power. You read the Bible, which I'll read part of tonight. I think it's important to remember. I don't care which version. Again, you people out there who are Christians, King James, Sister James, Brother James, who cares? The Lord had the Garden of Eden. You may eat from every tree in the garden, but not from the tree of knowledge of good and evil. In other words, we're saying to you, the priests and rabbis are saying to you, make sure you're dumb shits. That you follow what we tell you to do, and be stupid and not know knowledge of good and evil. No yin yang, no whatever. Be unaware so you can follow what I tell you to do, and don't eat of the fruit of knowledge of good and evil, because it might make you whole. It might give you wisdom. The serpent then was the idea of the tree of life, the tree of knowledge, the tree of wisdom. And yet, and again, it said, in the Bible, it says, you shouldn't have men who are alone. I'll provide a partner for him. So he made a woman out of a man's rib. And the man said, now this is at last, bone from my bones, flesh from my flesh, shall be called a woman, for from man this was this taken. What a stupid comment. Women have 2 chromosomes that are the same. They're probably first. The man is the mutation and has the extra chromosome, probably taken from a woman's rib. Not a woman from a man, but a man from a woman, probably the other way around. When you do research for the past history of humanity, you go to mitochondrial DNA, which is predicated upon the DNA, mtDNA of the female, not the male. If you want to trace the lineage of our histories, of Tina or Terry or any of us in this room, we find the female lineage. Not the male lineage, the female lineage. So again, the DNA goes back through female lines and not through the male lines. And it goes on to say in here in the Bible, again in Genesis. The serpent was more crafty than any wild creature that the Lord had made. And the woman, is it true that God has forbidden you eat from any tree in the garden? We may eat of the tree of the fruit, any tree in the garden, except for the tree of the middle of the garden, which you can't touch. If we do, we'll die. The serpent said, of course you will not die. God knows that as soon as you eat it, your eyes will be opened and you will be like gods, knowing both good and evil. Aha. God did not like competition. He did not want you to be a god because he wanted to be the only God. And by telling you how not to get there to the gods, it limited who you were. When in fact, this is the tenet of early Christianity and early religions, to not have your enlightenment by saying you should not have any knowledge or wisdom. And yet, as a person of religion and spirit, and I can remember Shirley MacLaine saying this many years ago, saying that I am God. You are God. What's your name again?
Beverly.
Beverly. Tell us, I am God.
I am God.
John.
I am God.
Tina.
I am God.
Terry. I am God. Each of us in this room is God. And yet, the Bible says we shouldn't be God because, again, we want to bow down before some omniscient, omnipotent, old beard fart who knows all wisdom and is our great Father. Baloney. What a load of horse crap. Get it out of your barns. From Wiener or Hecla. Wiener. From Wiener or Hecla. From one of them. So again, so we see in the Bible here, this is the start of it. Again, the Lord was mad. And they said they were naked. And they figured out they were naked because what have you done? Serpent tricked me and I ate. And the Lord God said to the serpent, because you have done this and you are cursed more than all cattle and wild creatures. The Lord said, because you had knowledge and wisdom, you're cursed. Serpents, you crawl in your belly. Eat the dust. And you'll make women will be mad at you. The Bible. I'll put enmity between you and the woman. In other words, many women now are afraid of snakes. My own dear mother saw a snake. The only good snake was a dead snake. And one time I wanted to have a pet snake. And she basically had apoplexy. You got to keep it out in the barn. You can't bring it in the house. It can't be around us. Again, because this goes back to Adam and Eve, that they made a pact to create the serpents among female energies. People see them as being bad. And the only ones who like snakes are those who are strippers or whatever, had weird tattoos or are different than us. And the woman, he said, I will increase your labor and groaning, and your labor shall bear children. In other words, the reason women have painful childbirth is because of the serpent of knowledge. So the spirit of religion, also at that time, tried to ban midwives. The 4th century, midwives are bad because midwives made labor easier. The men said again, because you were a serpent, because you had knowledge and intelligence, we're going to kill you and make you have more painful periods and more painful childbirth. So the concept of a painful childbirth goes back to the energy of the serpent in the Garden of Eden. And the misogynist male saying that women should suffer and that you're subservient to the divine male, which is a part of the diversion from matriarch to patriarch energy. In other words, so really what we're saying to the serpent of light, serpent of power, is part of our divine female. The goddess of Minotaur, of Minoan lands, had 2 serpents in her hands, and these were powers of who she was. And you see a serpent, yet in the non-Western worlds, the serpent is revered. Get the right way, Ken. This is an original painting by Bernadette Knott from the Kununurra, Australia. Aboriginal painting with the rainbow serpent. In Australia, which are some of the oldest people on our planet, which have been here 50,000 years, their creation story has been the rainbow serpent. The rainbow serpent came to life, created the rivers, laid giant eggs, made the mountains, created our universe. So the rainbow serpent, Yulgaga, in Australia, Aborigines, was the creator of our universe. Not the destroyer, not of knowledge, but the creator of who we are. The rainbow serpent is the creator of our world around us. So you have a choice in this rainbow serpent. I'll just leave it there. It's all right. for this picture also, which is another rainbow serpent from another Australian Aboriginal painter. These then are both authentic Australian Aboriginal paintings. The tribes knew this around the world. We see an energy of sacred sites around the world of the serpent. Many sites have a spiral kind of energy, a power energy which is created in the mind's eye. And the great sites of our planet Earth are actually powers of the serpent, where the serpent of light will empower who and what we are in the mind's eye. One of my favorite books of the last 5 or 10 years is Gaial Melchizedek's book, The Serpent of Light. Gaial Melchizedek, The Serpent of Light. And true, this is the reawakening of the divine female by the energizing of her kundalinis and the powers to become aware that her own inner serpent can be awakened and not be bad. Earlier today I was thinking as I was driving over here of a movie I should have shown, which is the epitome of this mask. And also the epitome of the skinheads and those who are bigoted who killed the 6 in Wisconsin. There's a movie called Enemy Mine. Old science fiction movie. Quite a few years old. Incredibly unique movie in what it is. Where 2 guys who were space travelers crashed on a planet. They were bitter enemies because the one guy looked like he was a reptile. And the other was a human. Since I'm a human, I must be the best day in the world. Turns out both the human and the reptile had similar backgrounds and similar histories. And through a need for survival, they found each other's common ground and commonality. That just because somebody looked different than they were, the reptile and the human had the same stories, the same mythology, the same fears, the same loves, and a common thread. So therefore, by being forced to live together, the human memorized the story of creation from the reptile and became one of their tribe and raised a reptilian creature who was not all bad. We hear about chaos and good and evil. What is chaos, what is good, and what is evil? I was a longtime fan of Avalon 5, a science fiction series by David Strelznick, Michael Strelznick on TV for many years on TNT. I watched every episode multiple times. They always had in there the energies of spider beings and those of chaos and those of order. Well, who's order and who's chaos? Who is order and who is chaos? Snakes are not about chaos. Certainly. They just are. They're about order. Snakes are about order. And snakes also shed their skin. Whenever things go bad or things change, they say, okay, just get rid of our old crap, shed our ways, and move on. So if they want to grow, they just take off their skin and leave as offering. Imagine if you humans could do that. We could say, okay, here's all of our bad crap. Just shed our skin and leave it behind, and we crawl out anew. We have a new wardrobe, a new wardrobe every few months. So most snakes shed their skin many times per year. And this particular snake is also a rainbow snake. This snake here is actually a Huichol snake. The Huichol are a tribe in Central America, Mexico, that are into peyote and the arts of metaphysics are very advanced, and so the Huichol revere the snake as well. So most tribes around the world honor the tribes of snakes. You'll see in a few minutes images of the cobra in Egypt. The image of the cobra in Egypt is a connection to your pineal gland. You all have in your brains, at least most of you in this room, I suspect most of you watching me, should have pineal glands. If you don't, you're probably in trouble. The pineal gland, when it's activated, do you have one there?
Not sure.
The pineal gland, when it's activated, is like a small penis. It gets an erection. When you're fully empowered, your third eye is fully empowered, your third eye is erect in its pineal gland. So the symbol of a cobra in Egypt is a symbol of your initiation to the pyramid temple initiations of having an erection antennae in your pineal gland to achieve the serpent kundalini arising in your soul. Not something else. That's what it is. And there are certain elements that are known, for example, osmium, help initiate the activation a pineal gland. So in other words, when you're fully empowered by a chant, a ritual, a ceremonial activation, then your gland in your brain receives energies from the higher realms. It's open to all things around you. So here, indeed, at that point, you create the energy of a serpent. So indeed, there are serpents of wisdom. So what's happening here, we're saying, is that the dual-headed serpent of wisdom can return in our souls now and reawaken in who and what we are. Whether you're a serpent of wisdom or a serpent and a goddess, these ideas of the serpent are coming forth in who and what we are. Remember that our metaphor, should have the right hat on. Got to change hats again. That's right. Change hats, guys. Where did I put it? I didn't bring it. Okay. Yeah. Now, here. Okay, there we go. Got to have the right hat, guys. Here we go. Have the right hat. We have our Irish hat on now. Think of St. Patrick. He chased all snakes out of Ireland. Well, that was a metaphor. He chased away divine empowerment female in Ireland. The idea that before St. Patrick was there were druids and Celts who were there who were empowering the energy of the land. The females there were very powerful beings. They knew the ancient rituals. When St. Patrick came, he said, "Get the hell out of here. I want you to be subservient." Well, if you know Irish ladies, they're not subservient anymore anyway, so it didn't work very well. But again, he chased the energies out of Ireland to get rid of them. He didn't want to have a freedom of people in Ireland. He wanted to have you controlled. In the same way, in the Western world as well, about the energy of dragons. Dragons in the Western world are feared as scaly, cold-blooded creatures of death, destruction, who were killed by St. George. And yet, in the Far East, dragons are revered. And again, it's always a man who's killing the dragon. So what's happening here, the metaphor here again, is the male is killing the female power. And the metaphor was that during the Dark Ages, the church was out killing every female who had any energy or intelligence in the European theater. If you knew herbs or stones or crystals or could read, they probably killed you because they wanted a dumb female who only could have agonizing childbearing, serve her husband, not talk back, and be stupid. So the metaphor for the dragon being dead is the killing of the divine wisdom of the serpent, of the power of the Kundalini. In other words, don't raise your God power up. Be subservient to our lords and masters of our feudal kings. The same could happen now if you're watching TV for commercials on TV. Buy our product. We are superior products. We have the best product or whatever stuff is in the world. If you eat this stuff, you get fat, thin, skinny, your boobs will be lifted, you'll have great whatever it is. Who cares? No. Okay. The dragon is a great beast of light who in the Far East is revered as a creature of light. So we have East versus West, West versus East. Dichotomization of the divine female occurred on purpose. For example, if you were a druid, you could call upon dragons with a yew wand or an oak wand empowered. You draw some eyeballs in the ground or make a sacred tetragrammaton or tetragram or sacred spot of fire. And then here is the actual chant for calling in a dragon. So be careful, people watching me out there. We may burn your house down if you don't watch this. If you watch this chant. So to create the symbol of the eyes on the ground. Cum saxum saxorum in diversum montum aparam da in etibulum incantum draconas. Cum saxum saxorum in diversum montam apolum da, in etibulum, in quinatun draconas. You would then call a dragon in. And dragons have many forms. There was a divine lady in mythology who loved and lived a dragon with a dragon or a snake. And she wore the shed skin as garments. As it shedded skin, she could wear its garments to shed her own ways. She was empowered by the symbol of the serpent, which is actually in that book that Tina's looking at. So we commonly will also see the symbol of a snake, two-headed, which is today in our medical people. The symbol of medicine is a cauticus, a two-headed snake, which goes back to the Minoan goddess who had a two-headed snake as a symbol of empowering the Kundalini. So then when you go to see a doctor, you're revering your divine feminine through Minoan cultures, through Sumerian Babylonia. So you're empowering a snake when you see your doctor, and when you get the bill, you faint and die anyway from a snake energy. It's like having being snake bitten when you get the bill. Get the bill from your doctor, you're like, oh my God, I've died and gone to heaven. So the snake energy we see here in this energy of the snake. And in the snake, when you see the divine source of the energy, which is a ring, is the Ouroboros, which I'll show you here in a few minutes. And yet we look at the cultures around the planet Earth, whether you're Mayan or Christian, which is a negative symbol, or Incan, we see the divine energy of the snake in their culture. When you're in Peru, where we'll be next week, the pre-three power animals are condor, puma, serpent. The same way when you're in Maya lands, a bird. And in Egypt, you have a serpent and a vulture. We create the world in Egypt by use of an egg from a vulture and a serpent. Both. So around the world we see a bird, a vulture, a condor, a bird, a creature of the land, a cat, a bastet, a sekhmet, a puma, a jaguar, and a serpent. These things are all part of our consciousness around Mother Earth. The divine energy of the serpent. The name for the serpent in Australia is actually a name for a drum in Hawaii. As an etymological archaeological researcher, which is what we all are, we read all of our books, we see some of this. If you find a name in some culture, it commonly will go across that cultural gap, and you'll see it in other cultures. So when you find the name for the serpent in Australia, the rainbow serpent in Australia, that one, it comes a drum in Hawaii. So the rainbow serpent is empowered by the drum in Hawaii. And when you use a rattle, this one's from Easter Island or Hawaii, one of the places anyway. You're mimicking the power of a rattlesnake. The rattles are about empowering the lower chakras by the empowerment of the tail of the energy of the lower chakras. The same way when you're hearing a turtle, and these lower animals, so-called animals, frogs, snakes, were then the symbols of what witches used. Think of that. And again, I want to comment here on the witch business. Almost every damn movie we see made by these moronic companies in this country show witches having a wart and being old and ugly. I don't know any old ugly witches, or any of them who have warts. Dear idiots in Hollywood. Dear pigs. Witches don't have warts in their nose. They're not old. Most of them are very well endowed, and most of them are very beautiful. Believe me. Okay, I know lots of witches, and the common thing that you have for them does not ever happen. It's bigotry. It's pig-headed bigotry by idiot males No more damn warty old witches in movies, people. This is a wrong falsehood. It's stupid, it's dumb, it's ignorant, it's just asinine. I have no opinion, right? And I mean, some of my best friends are witches. Some of my best friends, beloveds, are witches. I have many friends. My spiritual daughter's a witch. And she doesn't have a wart in her nose. And all the ones I know many of them are not ugly. I've dated a few of them, and the ones I dated, they were not ugly. I even married one, and she was beautiful. So again, we find that ourselves, get rid of this idea. We're here to create the serpent of light by empowering your soul. So the way shedding your skin, shedding your old ways, empowering your kundalini is a mechanism saying the serpent is okay. So you guys who are bigots, and we wear these sacred hats from sites around the world. This is from Glastonbury. Glastonbury is in Wiltshire in England, Somerset, England. It's at the intersection of St. Michael Dragon Line. It's one of the most powerful sites on planet Earth. It's a dragon site. St. Mary, St. Michael, Glastonbury. When you go to the divine Nazca lines, if you keep your lunch and don't throw it up, like our photographer here. Well, what happened is we went down to Peru a couple years ago, last year actually. Yeah. We're down in the Nazca lines area, and we're up in a vomit comet, and our video person was up in the comet, and he doesn't like small planes too well. And within 5 minutes, he was the color of this hat. In 5 minutes, he was the color of the hat, and there was no more photography work for a while. And then one of the other planes, there was somebody blowing chunks. So in other words, the vomit comets in the backseat were blowing chunks. And so you want to see that? And the pilots were like 10 years old, right? But the other pilots were like 10 or 12 years old. They're flying up. You want to see that? Okay, that way, that way, that way. So after 15 minutes, John was green and saved on food bill that night. So again, it's the powerful place of hummingbirds, of serpents, of comets, and of vomit comets. So we have, here's a powerful place of the comet and the vomit. Machu Picchu also could be serpent wisdom, the powerful place of Machu Picchu. And so some will claim that there's a comet that helps empower this area, the divine serpent, in Machu Picchu. When you're in California, where we were last week, here's a divine Bigfoot. And Bigfoot may be the empowerment of the serpent as well. And the divine empowered place, the divine female, one of the most holy places on our planet for the divine Mary, is Rosslyn Chapel, a Templar site in Scotland, about 8 or 9 miles south of Edinburgh. Southeast, one of the divine sites on our planet. And yet that place is a serpent symbol. Can I find it? I'll find it later on. It's here someplace. Here it is. In that church, it's one of the most famous, pillars in the entire world. It's called the Apprentice Pillar. It has 4 spirals running up it, 4 snakes running up the pillar. It was made by an apprentice in the church in the year 1446 AD. And in the church, there are corn cobs, by the way, in the church, which only came from North America. The church was built in 1446. What year did Columbus discover? What a stupid idea. What year was Columbus in the New World? Terry? What year was Columbus in the New World? 1492. And what year was that church built? 1446. And there are corn cobs in the New World in the church. And also New World cacti in the church. So in other words, we have in Rosslyn Chapel in Scotland the divine Merovingian St. Clair line of Christ line of the blood of Christ, Da Vinci Code. So we have the serpent of light, the blood of Mary in Rosslyn Chapel in Scotland, an incredible Templar place We're going to go back to again a few years, and again you find the Templar chapel there is just incredible in there, and there are 131 green men in the chapel. The pagan symbol of the green man, 131 of them in Rosslyn Chapel. There's also the Elements of Egypt, Babylonia, Samaria. It's a universal church. It's not one church, it's all of them. So that's the idea. So again, and the same way there are powerful energies at Easter Island. By native tribes. At the temples of Tikal in Guatemala. And again, the key temple in Guatemala, Temple 4, is a double-headed serpent. And you'll see us later on this year in the video when we're there this year. We climb it on 12-12-12. We're climbing it on the sunrise 12-12-12 this year. See us from Temple 4, Serpent Temple of Light at Tikal in Guatemala, which was, by the way, where they filmed the ending scene with the Ewoks in Star Wars. So if you look for the Ewok scene, temple, that's the Serpent of Light in Guatemala, and Tikal in Guatemala. So as you find, the Mayans revered the giant serpents. The Hopi did snake dances. The Apache did snake dances. And we have here in our own state of Ohio the greatest remaining Serpent Mound that's still existent here in the planet Earth. So as Ohioans, or as Midwesterners, wherever you're watching this tape or in the class, you're seeing one of the great empowerment points of serpents in the entire world, here in Ohio. So therefore, serpents should be naturally revered and respected. And again, one of my great teachers, I should put a native hat on. Which hat? Another different hat. Okay, I'll get a different hat. I have the right hat. This will work. This will work. This will work. Okay. My great native teachers by the name of Sun Bear, who bit my rattlesnake many years early before he helped him empower himself. And it said, well, you've survived the rattlesnake bite, they will empower you. So some troops or tribes get bitten by serpents to make sure their powers and who they are. So he empowered himself with the rattlesnake. And you can too empower yourselves with rattlesnakes or serpents of power. Dragons, beasties, snakes are not all bad. So as you empower the serpent, you empower females. We need to have a shared power energy any longer where you have both matriarchs and patriarchs. We're not mocking down the patriarchal energy or matriarchal energy. It's a matter of both. And again, what happened was the males took over and said the female's bad, which is not cool. Okay? So, we're going to honor the serpent. We're going to show some slides and some pictures and have the serpent of light in your mind's idea of who and what you are. Okay. Y'all see that? I like that little hiss on there. I sort of like that. It's kind of cute. It's like, okay. It's like Slytherin. I was thinking too of the like Harry Potter, Slytherin, all the bad connotations were against serpents. Again, so many movies have serpents as bad connotations. I mean, it's really, they got to get better PR. They got to hire some PR guys and do some advertising on TV. We could have Obama ads and Romney ads and serpent ads and see which one's worse. So we can have all three of them advertising. So again, so we have serpents of light. And here we have in Egypt, this is actually a Luxor or Karnak. Actually, this is actually a Luxor. Here's the symbol of the serpent power of light. Here's the serpent. Here's the serpent right here. These again are the serpents, again, dual-headed, two heads. Two heads, the empowerment with the sun disk of Ra, the rising of the pineal gland. So whenever you have a great temple in Egypt, you have serpents which are for protection and empowerment as well. Protection and empowerment as well. Serpents. The Giza Plateau is a place for the serpents of light. Is likewise also a place where there are great snakes. There supposedly is in the Hall of Records in the plateau a giant serpent living below there to guard it. There are people that report going into this one cave on the north side of the Giza Plateau, and when they get back in there, they hear some strange hissing sounds back in there. I'll tell you a little story that somebody went down there recently in the Giza Plateau at the Well of Souls near the entrance to the plateau. She's climbing down this ladder into this Well of Souls. She got near the bottom. There's some water. And things in Egypt are still very active. And then she approached the bottom. Her face came out of the water. and said, "You're at the second gate, the Duat. Get out while you still can." So there are things around the world that are not meant to be seen by us as humanity. So these things that are there are empowered, and we're going to go back next year to Egypt. We're going back to Egypt in March next year, for sure. I was not sure. Again, we cannot let fear hold us back. Our ceremonies in Egypt bring the Kundalini forth and help reawaken Egypt. Egypt has been under control of pharaohs or leaders for 7,000 years. It's time the people actually controlled Egypt. And we're part of that energy of making democracy work in Egypt after years of powerful people who said this is the only way. So we got to go back to Egypt next year in March and say we're going to do a ceremony at the Temple of Num to empower the Nile River, create a serpent god there, and to also empower in that same place the Ark of the Covenant, because it was there at Elephantine Island in Aswan before it went to Lake Tanis in Aksum in Ethiopia. So we see the empowerment of ourselves. And here's Moses. You go to Mount Nebo, and the main symbol at Mount Nebo where he saw the promised land and is buried, scattered, top of Mount Nebo in Jordan, is a serpent of light. And he changed his staff into a serpent after I taught him how. So Moses was wandering for years to find his energy and power. And both Aaron and Moses used a serpent staff to indicate their power was powerful. And yet Indiana Jones hated snakes. Remember that always seen in the Indiana Jones movie? It would have to be a snake. In the last Crystal Skull movie, they're throwing a snake to take me out of the sand pit. He's going like, no, I can't do this. Again, everything else was fine except for snakes. Again, so this is the snake energy. Serpents are okay. So again, they're not all bad. So Moses knew this. The Codicus, the serpent symbol of Moses. On Mount Nebo, this is copper. This is a Mount Nebo. I did the Lord's Prayer here in Aramaic on Mount Nebo in Jordan a couple years ago. So this is where we're at. Here's his staff. Moses liked serpents. Moses empowered the Kundalini. He was awakening the divine empowerment of the lower chakras, the Kundalini arising. And the Kundalini and the Prince Pillar in Rosalind are both mirrors of your own DNA. Without a serpent in your body, you're not a being of this earth or universe. And here we have in Ohio, of course, and we signed in Ohio too, the same way too. We have the cosmic egg. Oh, gee, Australia, Egypt, the cosmic egg comes from the serpent's mouth. It creates the universe. Here's a cosmic serpent with 7 chakra coils and a cosmic egg birthing in the universe in a meteor crater. Oh, this must mean something. Ergo, it does mean something. Here we have a meteor crater, a star energy here from Ptah or Sirius, and a Serpent Mound here, and here's the egg right here. Coils, mouth, eggs. The tails where I do ceremony almost all the time. I like being down there. Last time we were there for Venus Transit in June 5th. We had hundreds of people there. Hundreds came. It's the biggest ceremony we've done in Ohio in a long time. Incredible energy. As we're sitting back here in the tail, rattling our rattles, we can feel the earth vibrate. We can feel the whole earth vibrate. Just shaking, the whole earth was shaking, vibrating, because we were making a change in Mother Earth's energy. We went from the tail around to the head, to ceremony up here, bounce the energies out. And here's the bad press. We want you to be dumb shits. Don't have any knowledge. Just watch Fox TV all day long and you'll have no knowledge. Watch Fox News from 8 a.m. till midnight every day and your brains will fall out of your ears. So just go ahead and watch TV all day long, the stupidest thing you can think of, which is usually broadcast TV, cable TV or whatever, and then watch Fox News and your brains will fall out of your ears. So here's Eve again with the serpent saying, it's bad. I shouldn't know of knowledge or good or wisdom. And if I eat knowledge or if I have wisdom or knowledge, I can make choices. I can be stupid. I don't want to be like that. Oy vey. And yet here's Glastonbury. My favorite single New Age town in the whole world is Glastonbury in England. And this circular hill, the Tor, top is an old ruined tower of an old church, is the apex of the Mists of Avalon. The story of the Mists of Avalon, Mary Zimmer Bradley's books, is right here in Glastonbury. The most powerful town in all of Europe At the point of ley line intersections here, the Dragon Line is in Glastonbury. And in this tour are two springs coming out the backside as you walk in up here, up the tour. The backside, if you walk down this way into the town of Glastonbury, are two springs, a white and red spring wells that are some of the most holy spring waters in the whole planet Earth that are supposedly from the chalice cup of Christ. And Christ was there in Glastonbury, his uncle Joseph of Arimathea. And in Glastonbury is planted a thorn tree from the thorns that Christ had at crucifixion when he came back, when Joseph came back afterwards, after he's crucified. So there in Glastonbury is a thorn tree, which is an offspring of the thorn tree of the Arimathea. And buried in the church there in Glastonbury are tombs saying King Arthur and Queen Guinevere. So we have in Glastonbury the most incredible serpent towns of our planet Earth. Mists of Avalon. This is where it is, right here in Glastonbury. Here's the cobra again. It's the car. These are protection and empowerment of the divine third eye, of the pineal gland, the crown chakra. You're seeing the great power. As you are empowering your soul, your kundalini, you can protect yourself from anybody else around you. You empower who you are. Mount Shasta. We were just there recently. And here again is a serpent of power at Mount Shasta. And the principal place of power that we were at is a female goddess site. But near there, by there, in California, west of there is the redwood trees. And many of the trees have bark like snakes because, in fact, the coast redwoods are some of the oldest trees on our planet, which nobody knows except for you who are watching this here in this class. Because coast redwood trees are the tallest trees on Earth. No parallel. Not the biggest. Giant redwoods are bigger, but the coast redwoods are taller. The tallest trees on Earth. And they also come back up from their base. When a tree falls over and gets knocked down, it starts back up from the base. So most of these trees here are tens or hundreds of thousands of years old. As they fall over and die, they, like a snake, shed their skin and reincarnate over and over and over and over. So some of these trees can be 100,000 years old in the same soul body, in the same place. So when you look at the trees in California, these are a group of entings, old souls who have been there for thousands of years, shedding their ways and reincarnating every so few thousand years. And here's the spring. This is a spring below at Mount Shasta. In Mount Shasta City is a spring in the city park. To start a Sacramento River. This is the base chakra. And this pure spring water here will make you happy, empowered, floating for half a day. You'll be bubbling around. And yet at the top, at Panther Meadows, which is about 8,000 feet, is the spring of Panther Meadows. The soul of the Wintu shaman, Florence Jones, the last of the great shamans of the Wintu who will ever live. This is her spring. You don't walk in it. You let it bubble out for its own consciousness. These bubbles are like bubbles of infinity. It bubbles out of the ground slowly, and this is some of the sweetest and most powerful healing water of the upper chakras on Earth. It's at Panther Meadows. And there are, here's one of our familiar people right here, as a matter of fact. He looks familiar. That Ohio State hat looks familiar, doesn't it? I think so. And there are 3 meadows. Body, mind, spirit. Son of a gun. Imagine that. 3 meadows. Past, present, future. Lower, middle, upper chakras. Son of a gun. 3 meadows. The top of the chakras, top of Panther Meadows is where the spring comes out. So this water is the spring of the shaman female goddess, Florence Jones. Even though she is past, she was there with us at the spring. So here's a goddess, snake, serpent empowerment site. One of the great springs of the world is here at Mount Shasta, at Panther Meadows, where Florence Jones reveres us. And we were there doing a ceremony in Wintu. When you do a ceremony, do it in the right language, people. So we're doing chants in Wintu. And I walked back down the hill towards our car. It was a long walk, by the way. I had a small butterfly in front of me, which was about the size of a 1/4 inch long. And now being an old butterfly man myself, I noticed this butterfly. I'd walk, it would lead me for about a half mile down the road. It was Florence Jones saying, "What you did here today was good." And they could hear our voice across the meadow, because when you go with pure intention of the energy, you capture the energy of who you are. So the spring is who you are. And here's a spring further down the hill. What a glorious spring. The water is so pure, pristine from the high elevations of Mount Shasta, the powerful energy of the dragon, the serpent of Lemuria. And here's Mount Shasta. What a powerful place. The meadows up here at 8,000 feet. Panther Meadows, what a sacred place. And here's our sacred walker down the path. This was a rocky path.
You drank too much water.
We had to stop more than once. Do you see a camera here? It's our sacred path. It was a rocky path. We stopped more than once. And as we stopped one time here, some trees just down the path, we're sitting there and my ears started ringing and there was a spirit there watching, talking to us. We're sitting there at one place, my ears started ringing and we looked around and somebody was sitting there watching us. And it's like spirits were around us here at this Panther Meadows because here a panther, puma, snake. Ah, panther. Oh, gee. Jaguar, tiger, cat, lion, panther, puma, rattlesnake, serpent. Oh, ergo, same animals around the planet Earth. Well, here's our great person coming down a rocky path. So we walked up this path to the meadow to create our body-mind-spirit connection. And there are great flowers here. And these flowers were about the size of a dime. It could be 200 years old. Same way, this could be a virgin forest right here, which could be a couple hundred years old because the energy is so harsh. Like when Terry was there was still snow on the ground up here. This gets many, many feet of snow a year, so you can only go there in July and August. And the weird thing is this year, with the weather being off-centered, both the spring, summer flowers are blooming at the same time. So we had flowers here blooming both spring and summer because the world is totally screwed up right now with weather. For example, right now in South Africa, they have snow. It has not snowed there for years or decades in some cases. So Hillary Clinton's down there right now. It's snowing where she is, Pretoria, visiting Nelson Mandela, which is really weird. So here we have strange things happening around the world. We have floods, fires, it snows. So we have snows in South Africa. So we have flowers of spring and summer both in Mount Shasta. Mount Shasta. And around there, the clouds around there, incredible. This was taken from Castle Crags, nearby. Power of the snake, a mountain of energy, a mountain of power, a mountain of the serpents. Here's Florence Jones, the Wind 2 shaman. She was the caretaker of that mountain, and that's her spring. We honor her. I've seen her on TV, in videos. I honor who she is. Ah, Mount Shasta, off a distance, powerful serpent. Ah, where we'll be later on this year filming again, the Temple of the Serpents in Tikal at 12-12-12, and you can sit up here on top. There's no railing, by the way, and there's steps that go up over here, and when you're standing there, usually you'll hear howler monkeys. Walk up here on top, and there you go. There's no railing, as you see, and it's a straight drop, almost a straight drop here. There's no railing, so if you go over this edge, you're almost 200 feet straight down. So I wouldn't advise, and it's usually windy because you're above the trees. So if you're up here, we sort of stay back from the edge. So the same scene you would see in Star Wars, above the trees. What an incredible place of power. The Serpent Temple at Tikal in Guatemala. We'll be there in December. Another temple. Again, a serpent head up here. The Kundalini rising. Here's the ladder that goes up top of these stairs. You gonna climb those, John?
Sure.
That's only a 16-story ladder. There's about 4 segments.
You can't go up the steps?
No. The steps are about like this tall, and they're about that wide. You can't go up the steps because you ruin them. They're also about 2 feet tall per person. Here's a person. These steps go way up. Most of the steps are very steep. They're very, very narrow. You can only go up this ladder, which goes up like 4 stories up, 1 inch in, 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 and 4 more stories up. When Deanna was up there on top, the lady was up there on top of this temple with platform shoes. And she going, I think I made a mistake. You think? Dear moron, okay? You're climbing a 16-story ladder in platform shoes is not a bright idea, okay? It's not everybody. Some people deserve Darwin Awards for stupidity. So
Leave mine at home, right?
leave yours at home. We have among the Aztecs, the Mayans, Quetzcoatl, Kukulkan, energy of the plume serpent, the power serpent, whether culturally you have around the world, energy of serpent power around the world. Snake dance here in the Hopis, and you see here a few snakes on the dancers in Hopi and Second Mesa, out in Walpi, probably on Walpi's out in Arizona. Snake dancers. Veering the power of the serpent, done during usually the winter season to empower who they are. And in the India area, you have the Nagas, Nagals. This is the egg of the Nagals, which are the creator beings in Hindu mythology and the ancient energies of India. The Nagals, the cosmic egg, the egg of the Nagals, and Serpent Mound in Ohio are the creator beings. Wisdom, serpent of wisdom. Or the egg of the serpent, which is a lingam-like shaped zone. This is the Tipitokura, the cosmic egg of consciousness of Lemuria in Easter Island. This is the great egg brought from Lemuria when Lemuria fell 13,000 years ago. And here we are this past summer, winter solstice, doing a ceremony for the egg of the earth at Easter Island with our guides and people on Easter Island. The egg of the earth. The egg again. This is the egg of the earth. Egg of the serpent. The egg of the serpent. The egg and I, like Linda. Serpent Mound again in Ohio. The mound alignments, the stars, the dates. The rainbow serpent, Yulgul of Australia, who created the earth, and the drums in Egypt, and the drums in Hawaii. Yogana. So here we have the serpent creating the energy of power. The great voice of the drum is Yogana, and it's also the same name for a drum in parts of Polynesia. Rainbow serpent, Australia, Kakadu, Arnhem land. Here against the serpent. So you see the empowerment. Every part became a mountain, a stream, a river. We humans made these serpents to create and empower Earth, not to create negativity. And here we have last year Serpent Mound, Hunbatsmen, the Mayan daykeeper from Merida, Mexico, who will be back here in Ohio in September again. By the way, in Cincinnati. And this is a Serpent Mound to empower who we are at Serpent Mound, because again, we know the serpent is part of our Kundalini rising, part of who and what we are. We have drummers, people enjoying themselves, staffs, drummers at the mound, symbols. Shed our old ways, transform. Let us shed our old ways. Get rid of our skin, transform. Yes! Transform who you are. It's our Venus transit.
Yeah, where was she? I was down there.
Didn't you see her, John?
I didn't see her.
Oh, never mind. Okay. Can we see that one again? I think we should see that one again for a minute. Okay, never mind. Okay. So we have at some sites, like Kukulkan and Chichen Itza, we have the plume serpent. And here on the side at the sacred days of the years, it forms a serpent plume here on the Great Pyramid of Chichen Itza. In case you're a mouse, you are here. Okay. They get bad press. That's one of their friends. Okay. Okay. Try to attempt an apple, a tub of ice cream perhaps. Okay, so again, if you're a woman anymore, I don't know about an apple anymore, but if you had ice cream or chocolate, probably much better. Jenny's or Graters probably here in Columbus. So really here in Columbus Serpent, you should use Jenny's or Graters. Probably get more people that way in Columbus, or chocolate also works very well. Okay. Okay, snakes alive. This is for you, John. Okay, never mind. You want to see that one again, John? There you go. Okay, there you go.
That's horrible.
I'm terrible. I'm terrible.
Searching the wrong pages.
And here's the serpent. Chichen Itza. See? Equinox solstice. Here's the snake's head. And here's the body of the snake right at sunset. So you empower, the great temple was built this way to empower the holy divine serpent at Chichen Itza in Mexico, Chiapas, Yucatan province, to empower the serpent, to empower the Mayans with the energy of the serpent. So here we...
I've seen that. I did not know that was the serpent.
This is a serpent.
Look at that.
See, here's the head,
Yeah.
and there's the body.
When I was there, it was cloudy.
It was high that day, yeah.
Yeah.
So here's the serpent, and whenever it happens on those equinox solstice days, there are big crowds there again. When you look at next time you go back there, Linda, look for this on the right day, equinox solstice. You'll see the serpent along the stair steps there. There's the living, and only for a few minutes before sunset. So look for it. Here, and it'll begin to undulate and move as the light changes. Again, you have a moving, undulating serpent here at Chichen Itza in Mexico, Yucatan. So you get the picture. Go there at sunset, the right day, and you'll see the serpent of power. So the Mayans knew this to be built on purposes of the serpent of power. Serpent power place. Amazing. Imagine that. Gee. Infinity. The symbol of infinity is a two-headed snake. Huh. Son of a gun. Did I know that? No. St. Patrick. Driving the snakes out of Ireland.
That was done. 1953.
Okay. You drove about a long time ago, the snakes go like, I gotta go, you know. Had this, imagine a group in a van. It's like a van load of people, like in California where we are, or a plane load with a vomit comet. Now, how much further? Like last week in California, how much further again? I have to go to the bathroom. Are we there yet? I'm going to be sick. We had people sick in our car. Yeah, we had that happen last week. So here's St. Patrick. Here's the Vajrapani version of the serpent energy, the fire energy from Bhutan. In Bhutan, the dragon energy. Vajrapani Buddhism is dragon energy of Buddhism, which there's Mahayana, Theravada, and Vajrapana. So here we have Vajrapana energy of Buddhism. Here again is Adam and Eve. Oh, here's the apple again. It should be chocolate covered, or it should be chocolate. Godiva, maybe Godiva. Or caramel. Caramel colored caramel. What's your favorite kind of chocolate? Dark chocolate. Dark chocolate? Okay. Yeah. Okay. I agree with that. Dark chocolates are always good.
Okay.
Dark chocolate Reese cups.
Yeah. We just had a Hindu temple a couple weeks ago, and they had a big Shiva lingam with a snake carved in it.
That's right. That's the Kundalini rising. In other words, the snake idea is that you empower the snake, the Kundalini, the serpent. It's Kundalini. It's the Nagals, the serpents of wisdom, the empowerment of the serpent. It's the cobra rising within there, and they revered them within India. So here again, Adam and Eve, bad press. Okay? Adam and Eve, this is the devil. He's the horned being. He's the serpent. He's the beast. He's evil, whatever, all bad. We teach him knowledge and power. You know yin yang from yang. You're good from bad. This is all bad. No, it's not all bad. It's crap. Here's a vision with ayahuasca. Adam and Eve, the serpents. This is done by a Shipibo in Peru region, Amazonia region of Peru. Many snakes to empower the world. And again, the rainbow serpent. The rainbow serpent, the serpent, 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 frog. And many of these things are symbols of what's bad about witches. Same kind of deal. Aztec, serpent, a dragon, a serpent, eating, rituals. Okay? And yet here we have the Ouroboros, the great symbol of circuit, the divine ring of power. The Ouroboros is the most powerful symbol of oneness in planet Earth. The Ouroboros, in many ways, Ouroboros, or the eternal knot. In Hinduism, Buddhism, it would be the eternal knot. The eternal knot in Buddhism is actually the Ouroboros from the snake Genesis. The Ouroboros, the snake, the serpent, the eternal knot, is the wisdom of the snake, of the ancient energy beings. Again, and here we have the Ouroboros with the Masonic symbol. So the Masons, Pythagoras, the Hindus, the Buddhist, the ring of power, of Gandalf and Gollum and Mordor is an Ouroboros. Matter of fact, we just had eruption today and yesterday on Mount Mordor, which was Tongariro National Park in New Zealand. It's puffing ash right now. So the area where they filmed Gandalf and Mordor is actually erupting right now as we speak. There's ash clouds in New Zealand right now today, in New Zealand, in the Ring of Fire. So here we have the Ouroboros, which is Masonic symbols, tetrahedron, the symbol of the snake, the serpent, power of energy. Cosmic serpent. Narby's book. And yet here's our DNA. So all that you know, all that you are in your soul is within your DNA. Your power to be who you are, which is a gift from the gods and from yourself, is in the DNA you encode in your body before you're even born. And as you awaken your divine serpent DNA, you awaken the serpent of light in your kundalini. Adenine, thymine, guanine, cytosine. ATGA. The base pairs, nitrogenous base pairs here, between the phosphates, the backbone. These pairs are the divine ladder of serpents. This is a double-headed ladder. But whenever you see in ancient history and books a two-headed snake, this refers to our own DNA. So when you reject the tree of knowledge and the tree of life, you reject your own DNA. So the double-headed serpent, the Caucasus, of the Minoans, of all of us, is in fact referring to this double-headed snake of your own DNA strand. Because each of you in every cell in your body, to create who you are, the base pairs of ATGA, adenine, thymine, guanine, cytosine, the base pairs of these basic pairs of amino acids create who you are. And as you empower your Kundalini, you wake up more base pairs. You're awakening the divine rainbow serpent in your own bodies. So the Kundalini awakening the serpent is awakening who you are in your own divine body, awakening the rainbow serpent yourselves. The ladder of life, ATGA, this rainbow, this double ladder, this ladder of life, and the dream to Watson and Crick's development of the DNA code came in a dream. They couldn't figure out what the shape of this was till they had a dream one night, and in the dream world, in intuition, told them the shape of DNA. So the real Big Bang Theory, and the real Watson Crick story of DNA, is a dream world of the divine serpent, the two-headed minotaur, the Minoan culture, two-headed snake, the divine symbol of a snake, the cosmic fire of life, the divine goddess of the yin-yang, of a serpent of light, connection to the stars around us. So again, like you're in Inca lands in Peru, condor, puma, serpent. Condor, puma, serpent will be next week. You raise your Kundalini up. You empower who you are. You empower your soul. You empower your soul. You empower your Kundalini. You become who you're supposed to be through the divine serpent of light rising in your soul. And here again is the Minoan goddess of fire of serpents. You see her, she has a cat and two snakes. And these two snakes symbolize the divine cosmic belly of energy and DNA, the pregnant fire of DNA in both base pairs, empowering the soul of who you are to become your fully empowered soul, the goddess in the world around you. So indeed, this goddess is doubly empowered by DNA, and the power of the belly, the power of the fire of who you are, to empower Shakti. And again, the symbol for Shakti and Shiva in Indian mythology and Hinduism, the divine Shakti again, the power of Shakti is again the energy of the Kundalini rising up. And it's again Alex Gray painting, who was here from Columbus, OSU, the power of Shakti rising who you are, creating the divine rainbow power of light, and your souls to create the serpent of light and who your soul is. And again, here's Shakti and Shiva, and here's the divine cobra by Shakti again. The cobra empowering Shakti and Shiva over here. Divine mythological power of creating the universe and a balance of power in yin and yang and Shakti and Shiva in Hinduism. The field of energy arising, enveloping, in who and what your soul is, empowering the soul of who and what you are in the universe around you in Shakti and Shiva. Again, the Mayan, the great serpent, plume serpent of the Mayans, to empower. Every coil here is DNA. This ties into Serpent Mound here in Ohio, to in what you are in this place. Here's again the Gaial, Shakti rising on a bed of serpents, usually 9 of them, for 9 dimensions, by the way, too, 9-dimensional alchemy. Lotus flower, the tail of the serpent to empower Shakti. Here's your divine female empowering your DNA through her energy. The serpent, the lotus, the conch, the flower, and the energy around her, the divine power of the divine female. And yet we have St. George killing a dragon. St. George is killing the female. How can I murder the goddess? How can I kill St. Bridget? How can I kill the Celts? How can I kill the Druids? How can I kill every matriarchal soul who's ever empowered on earth? By killing the dragon. Kill the dragon. Kill the goddess. St. Bridget, very much in with the dragons and snakes. A wormhole then, in fact, is a dragon snake energy, a spiral energy. A wormhole, a black hole, a cosmic spiral, a wormhole. The serpent then is a divine spiral of life through a circle of energy, the Kundalini arising in the soul to create a serpent of light through to other universes, other worlds. Here's a divine snake shedding you shed your skins, shed your ways, shed your ways, leave behind your ideas, Shed it all. Take it off. Take it off. Take it all off. Take off your skin. A symbol of a tattoo. Shedding your old ways. Okay? Be careful when you shed. You like that one? Yeah, let's go back to that second. You got that now finally, John? You got it, guys? Okay, there we go. You got it, finally got that. That's good. Okay, just, I have a thing to wear, I'm shedding all over, I have a thing to wear. Can I get a new outfit first? How can I have a date tonight? This is crazy. Never mind. Giza Plateau, serpents of power. Serpent at dawn, at sunset. Sunrise, sunset. Powerful place of the serpent. Plateau, Giza Plateau, son of a gun. Back there next year again in March. 3 pillars. 3 serpents. Great, powerful place. Into the King's Chamber, up the Grand Gallery. Up the Grand Gallery, through the Grand Gallery, up to the King's Chamber and the Great Pyramid. The subterranean tunnels, the power of the serpent. To empower a Karnak. At Machu Picchu, again, empowerment of who you are. Hitching post of the sun, Itowana stone, and again, it's the serpent power here. The power of the snake comes through the symbol. It's like an erect cobra, an erect, powerful sun, which marks the sun's passages as the pinnacle of energy sites, the high point of Machu Picchu. Below Huayna Picchu at Machu Picchu, the Itowana stone. The high point of Machu Picchu will be there next week. Machu Picchu, doorway to light. And here, Saquisuesan, our sexy woman in Cusco, is a serpent. See that right there? Imagine that. They built a condor, a puma, a serpent in these stones that weigh, these stones weigh 40 to 200 tons. They moved them there with guinea pig grease and log rollers. Yeah, right. Levitation empowerments there. There are temples on top. Here's a temple here on top, like Atlantis, but here's a serpent of power at Saquisuesan in Cusco, Peru. Empowerment place of the soul. And here's a snake in Belize, which they told me was a false fer de lance. They made sure I didn't have a bite after I saw the snake. Just paid the way to empower me. You empower yourself when you see snakes. Watch for them and thank them for being there. Listen when they're around. They won't harm you if you don't listen to them. If you listen to them, they're not evil. They're not evil. To call again, and we see the symbol again in Inca land in Coricancha of the condor, the puma and serpent in the greatest number of ley lines on any site in the whole world. The Coricancha, Sex in Cusco, Peru, where I'll be next week. And here again then is the elixir of life. So serpent should have given this to those who were in the Garden of Eden. That would have been much better off. Okay. Or should have given them sacred pie. This pie we had last week. Chocolate, this is blackberry lemon sour cream. I had more time. I would have made some this week, but it was a little too hot. It had huge blackberries and lemon sour cream, and we all had pie that night in a great restaurant called Sherry's in Roseburg, Oregon. A powerful place, and there we are. And the trees also, redwoods again, each old tree has a symbol, and here we see like a powerful face in the tree. And if you can't see that, there's something wrong. There's the eyes, the nose, mouth, and we're kissing the serpent. The powerful symbol of the tree, this is the ears, it's a redwood tree. What's that?
The bone in the nose.
Bone in the nose, yep, yeah. Bone right here in the nose. Okay, bone in the nose, mouth, nose, eyes, ears. A headdress, this is a redwood tree, gigantic redwood tree, a wee little human being kissing the power of the soul in the tree. Be free, find a tree, empower your serpent, empower who you are. Don't be a slug. These are banana slugs having sex, by the way.
I don't think I got that.
You didn't get that one? You didn't get that one, John? Okay. Reach for the stars. These are redwood. Look it up. The redwood trees. Rise your kundalini up. Empower who you are. Look upwards. Look for the stars. Look upward, ever upward. Watch for other forms of life, even Bigfoots. Remember your roots. These are trees. These are roots of redwoods. This is bigger than this room. These roots here are bigger than this room. Humongous, and yet this tree will start from these roots over and over and over again and reincarnate for tens of thousands of years. So remember your roots. Watch for your bull around in some classes. And make sure you're wear protection. Even if you're eating pie. This is right during pie. We're serving pie and we're all thankful for the pie. Okay, never mind. Let her stop raising your consciousness. Make sure it goes up and raise it up. Like the cobra, like the serpent, like the kundalini, raise your consciousness and be aware of who and what you are. Give thanks and blessings for whatever you do, and make sure you know the end. And there's the end. There's the better one. Okay. The thong remains the same. The thong remains the same, right? When you're having lunch, the thong remains the same. So again, so you got to have humor in life. So again, so we're going to play a little music here now. I have a serpent music I'm going to play here now and empower that. Okay. Don't take yourself too seriously in whatever you do, wherever you are. Laugh at yourself, and remember to eat pie. Again, like in the movie Men in Black 3, Tommy Lee Jones and Bill Smith are sitting there in a restaurant saying, "I solve all the world's problems with pie." So whenever you're upset, whenever you're troubled in life, buy some pie and be happy. Okay. I'm going to pass around some schedules. Here's some schedules. If you didn't already get them, there's schedules.
I got one.
You got one already. I'll pass some more around, whatever. You already got your other handouts already anyway, that's fine, but there are many symbols. I was going to read you a story about the rainbow serpent for kids, but I won't do that. So again, the creator stories in Australia. The rainbow serpent made mountains and trees and flowers. Went back and got the animals. So when you have a rainbow serpent in life, she brought the animals, the birds, the fish, the insects. After that, a woman and a man came to rainbow serpent's new earth. The rainbow serpent taught them. They were happy. Rainbow serpent said, "This is not your earth. Be good to it. Be good to animals here." And now, went to sleep. Rainbow serpent's a powerful energy and symbolism in Australian Aboriginal teachings. This book's from Australia, by the way, for beginner level Australian teaching. It's an Australian book. I actually have a CD at home that came with that as well, too. So the Australian energy. So we have the energy, the symbols, the serpent. And to back us up here now is the song of the serpent. I like this. I do like this hat. Make sure you got it. Okay. Recognize there are many forms of life. And that not all of us appear as humans. That frogs and dragons and serpents and snakes are part of who you are. Because you look different, do not judge them. Whether you are warm or cold-blooded does not mean any difference. You are still living beings. Part of light and order and chaos, the same thing. Do not negate any of life and any empowerment and who and what you are. You can become friends with your inner kundalini, the divine egg of life, to empower and innervate Empower who you are. To bring the fire in your belly. And the rising of your soul. To shed your old ways. To empower who you are. Look beyond the mask. And see who's within. To remember the divine knowledge in your own souls. For the Gaials and the cobras, and the vipers, and the adders, and subtractors. So you empower who you are. Of the boa constrictors, alligators, of all the serpents of light. The spiral of life within you becomes a divine female of consciousness. And you empower who you are. Your pineal gland is activated. And the cobra of life and light within your soul. Respect the serpent. Do not fear it. Become at one with it. Order and chaos, they are the same beast of the same sort. Eat of the knowledge of tree of wisdom and knowledge and love, and likewise, eat of the tree of wisdom and knowledge, and know the difference between love and hate, between war and hate. And remember those who would lead you on astray. Remember to empower the divine female. Empower the divine female. Empower who you are. Whether you be a serpent-like face, or Gandalf, or divine female, or wear a turban in your head, or robe or shorts or whatever you wear, treat you as having empowerment. And arise Kundalini, and arise who and what you are, and feel the divine soul within you, within your light, within your being, within yourself of who and what you are, of the self of who you are. Raise your energies and be aware of who you are. Be aware of who you are. The divine female within you arises, empowers who you are, innervates who you are, awakens your DNA, your RNA, adenine, thymine, guanine, cytosine. Empowers your base pairs and your dual-headed serpent of light within your own body, like the apprentice pillar at Roslin and the Cauticus and the Ouroboros are empowered in who you are through Shasta and Glastonbury and Chichen Itza and the Giza Plateau and the powers of light around planet Earth. Empower who you are in this place and around our planet. Remember who you are. Embrace, empower, energize the serpent of light, Kundalini. Raise your energies and empower yourself. Become the goddess of light. Remember your wisdom and your power and who you are. Who you are and what you are. And be who you are, empowered fully on this planet in this place, in this time, in this world, in this energy, for the energy of divine body, divine mind, and divine spirit, for body, for mind, for spirit, for body, for mind, for spirit. Think of the serpent now in your mind's eye, the dragon as well. Of all the stories of the ancient ones, of the dragons, of Draconis. Empower yourself. Kadash, Kadash, Kadash. Adonai Sabaoth. 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 El Elyon, El Elyon, El Elyon, El Elyon, El Elyon, El Elyon. Kadash, Kadash, Kadash. Amen, 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 Amen. That's enough for tonight, I think. You've heard about the serpents, and very rarely, and thanks to Linda for asking for this class. Linda asked for this class. In other words, when people ask me about teaching a new class, it's like, it gives me a challenge. So whenever you out there have a question or subject, and guys, please do ask, because again, we've never taught this class till Linda has not asked. And again, by buying the books and doing the research, it opened up a whole new world for me. Realization of what I was thinking about, what happened, and again, the movie Enemy Mine. Go out and buy a copy of it afterwards later on. Remember the serpent. We made friends with the serpent energy, the snake. Again, goes back to the energy of disempowerment of females. You disempower the serpent, disempowered females. Back to the Bible, Adam and Eve. This stuff is all part of our history. Bad childbirth. You empower the goddess through the serpent. And yet every culture of the world that's not Christian pretty much reveres serpents. You look at Hindus and Buddhists around the world, Hopis and Aztecs and Incas and Mayas, they revere serpents, except for the Christians. Okay, time Christians to get on with it. Realize where your errors were, empower the goddess and Saint Mary, realize Christ was married, and realize all of our code, come back to ourselves, empower the Kundalini and raise your energies up. Empowering the goddess, become the serpent of wisdom, become the serpent of light, empower who and what you are, become Draconis and the serpent of wisdom. Thank you for asking, Linda. Thank you all for coming tonight. Thank you for being there. Blessings to all of you. Om Shanti. Amen, 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 amen. That's enough for tonight. It's enough. Thanks.